Welcome to Wrestling with Siblings. I'm your host, Araceli, and this is your co-host, Armando.
Hi, I'm Armando.
And today's episode will be on Raw 8/13/18. But before we get started on today's show, I did want to give a moment of silence for Natty's dad. So starting now. Okay, so going back into the show, we just wanted to say the first match is Alexa versus Ember Moon. Now there was, I don't want to say controversy, but I know Ronda comes out and she starts talking again. She gives her condolences to Natty, but Alexa has security out and Ronda just completely destroys them.
Yeah, which was obvious, and we kind of saw that was going to happen.
But here's the thing. Alexa is golden on the microphone. She comes out, right? And then she's like, oh, yeah, you're just a rookie and overhyped and all this and this and that. Do I agree with her? I don't know. But the one thing I do agree with her on is when she said that Kurt Angle protects everybody but the Raw Women's Champion. She's right. I mean, come on. When it came down to, I want to say it was the Elimination Chamber, she had to defend the championship inside the chamber against, 6 other women? Did Brock do that? No, somebody else did, and then they had to whoever came out the winner was going to face Brock. And it's like, she's right. He defends everybody but the Raw Women's Champion. What is this?
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
He doesn't defend Kevin Owens.
Okay, he doesn't defend Kevin Owens. Right. But Kevin isn't the champion.
But still.
Alexa is the champion, and Alexa has proven everything to everyone that she deserves some respect. And I get it. It's kind of like with the whole Carmella and Paige thing, but that'll come later on today. But seriously though, Brock Lesnar gets all these privileges, and then what about Alexa? He's completely just,
I see where you're going with this. And yeah, we've kind of seen it this past couple of weeks. I mean, if he wasn't protecting Alexa, he wouldn't have suspended Ronda.
Yeah, you're right, but...
And since they're all about protecting the main event for all the pay-per-views, they didn't put Ronda and Alexa to face each other.
You're right.
So
You're right on
so
there.
that's kind of protecting her.
And, I do have to get whatever happened with Roman later, which we'll get into later, that's also not protecting the main event. But now they like to use that quote as in, oh, I'm going to protect my main event. And it's kind of like, whatever happened to that, you remember when it was Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, the whole locker room came out and they completely had to stop them. And then it still kept going on backstage. I'd like to see that happen again. But now it's about protecting the main event, whether it be Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah. I mean, even though they're not going to physically have a match, we still want to see them get a great feud and maybe go at it just to see what it's going to be like. And I think if they actually let them go at it, whether it's Alexa or Ronda, I think it'll go great and it'll hype up the main event even more.
Or anybody else, simply. But Alexa did have a match against Ember Moon, because Natty wasn't on Raw. And this match, it was pretty good. I gotta give it that. It was pretty good. Again, in my personal opinion, Alexa's up there. Ember's up there. We've seen their matches before. Ember's
really impressed me so far from what I've seen. She's very athletic, very aggressive, and from what I've seen so far, I really like it. She's here to rejuvenate the women's revolution.
Exactly. Even though it's already going forward and it's going in a really good direction, she's one of the ones that's actually going to help it get, to the level where it wants to be.
She's going to be key in the future in the women's, like I said, women's revolution.
Let's continue getting into this match. Again, we do think Alexa's going to win at SummerSlam. I still stay to that. Wait, no, my bad. Ronda is winning at SummerSlam.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna be like, whoa.
I just completely
Whoa.
flipped the table. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something else, and then I just completely sidetracked. But yeah, Ronda's still winning at SummerSlam. It has to happen now. This is the perfect opportunity to do it. I don't see where else other than Evolution could be the other possible one. But as of right now, Ronda's winning it. She's taking it home. I mean, we already saw her destroy, like, what, 4 or 5 security guards? Man, how could somebody not be afraid of her?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys saw it, but there was a bat at ringside. That her face was just completely priceless. If you guys haven't seen it, find the video. It's hilarious. Before we do move on, though, sorry, Armando, I know you have something to say, but I want to say this really, really quickly. Props to Renee Young for the commentary. I gotta give it to her. Come on. She did really, really well.
Yeah, I think she did a great job. Even though Corey Graves and Michael Cole carried her in broadcast, I still think she did a fantastic job. It was just a matter of her getting more confident, and I think over time she'll be better, and she'll do great things in commentary.
I mean, her first time, it wasn't bad, and you gotta give it to her. She's always had, she's really good at backstage interviews, and, the kickoff show, she's always the main voice of it, and I feel like having her on commentary smooths things out. To me, it's like something different. It gives it like a unique, type of feel, I guess.
It's just a matter of getting used to seeing a woman in commentary. We're not used to seeing women in commentary as much, so I think it's just a matter of getting used to it.
I love it, though, so there's that. Okay, let's get into the next match, which I believe was Tyler Breeze versus Baron Corbin. I mean, this match was okay. I mean, Corbin carried the match.
Yeah, there's really not much to say. I mean, we know Tyler Breeze is good in the ring, but it really wasn't much competition for him. It was just mainly for him to build his confidence up for Finn Balor.
And then, after the match, which I believe Corbin won, right after the match, Corbin makes the match that it's going to be Balor versus Kevin Owens and Jinder Mahal. And then Kurt Angle comes out and he's like, I still make the matches around here. And then he decides to put Strowman in Finn Balor's corner to even things out. So instead of a handicap match, it was a tag match. And, I mean, this match was pretty good, especially because you had, Braun and Owens who are going to go up against each other, and then you have Finn Balor, who's super talented, which we've spoken about before.
It's kind of like a little preview of what was going to happen at SummerSlam, even though we've already seen the matches. But, I mean, it's just to build it up even more.
Yeah, it gets you interested on wanting to watch that match. I'm super interested in wanting to watch that match. And again, like I said before, on our SummerSlam predictions, for those of you that watched, I want Strowman to keep the Money in the Bank briefcase. It only makes sense.
Yeah, we both agreed on it. He has to keep it, and it'll be the next step for his career.
Yeah, it's really going to put him out there. I mean, we've seen what he can do, his matches with Big Show. Remember, I think they broke the ring or something?
Yeah.
The way he moves, the stuff that he does for a guy his size, the creativity that he has, it's super cool.
His athleticism and his technical wrestling is just amazing. If you really watch that match against Big Show, you'll be blown that 2 guys that size could actually move the way they did in the ring.
Yeah, that's crazy, because usually you look at somebody like them and you're like, okay, well, there's only so much you can do. Same thing with Kevin Owens. You look at him and you're like, dude, there's only so much you can do. But then he's over here, rolling in the ring and, doing all this other stuff, and he's not afraid to jump off and take the risk, and you're just like, you don't see this very often.
Yeah, he goes beyond and above.
Above and beyond.
There you go. That's what I was trying to say. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It happens. But yes, anything else you'd like to add to that, Armando?
That would be it.
All right. So then...
Sorry for the botch. I was trying to be like Michael Cole.
Botch Michael, as Armando and I like to call him. I mean, come on, seriously, guys? It happens. But he messes up almost every week on TV. And, you know, there's eventually going to be times when we mess up, like earlier when I said we picked Alexa. But, hey, it happens. I botched. You botched. It was bound to happen already. So, moving on. All right, this is probably one of the greatest things to happen. We were already expecting it. We talked about it last week, and we talked about it on our SummerSlam predictions as well. Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre are in the ring with Kurt Angle, and obviously the contract signing is going to happen, and there's no sign of Seth. Apparently he's running late, and, you know, there's this whole story as to why he isn't there, and then Dolph signs it, and he's certain that Seth isn't going to show up, and then Seth shows up, and then he's like, he said something along the lines of, if I showed up, I was afraid that if I showed up, you were going to change your mind after I told you that I actually have somebody that's going to be by my side. And guess who comes out?
Dean Ambrose.
Exactly.
Dean Ambrose.
Dean Ambrose. This is exactly what we expected. This is exactly what we predicted. We saw it coming.
Yeah, we did see it coming, especially because, like we had said on our previous podcast, that Seth Rollins didn't stand a chance with McIntyre at ringside, and he needed some backup. We kind of figured it wasn't going to be Roman Reigns just because he was going to be in the title picture, and for him to be in Seth Rollins' corner at the same time, it was going to be kind of tough. Plus, it was time for Ambrose's return. I know he's been out for like almost, 10 months around that. And I think he had an injury on his, I think it was his tricep or bicep around there. And we were just dying to see him, and it was pounding. And this was perfect timing for him to come back. I mean, I really didn't see him coming back any other way.
And I do remember we said Dolph Ziggler was going to be our prediction.
Yeah.
Are we changing our prediction, or are we keeping it? I say we're keeping it the same way.
I'm not going to change it. I think we're going to agree on this one. And then just keep in mind that the contract signing was at the very end. We just decided to put it towards the front of our podcast because we're saving the Roman Reigns segment and Paul Heyman towards the end.
And we might just go out of order this time just to try something different. Let us know how you guys like it, or if you guys want it all in order again. Okay? Let's get into Matt and Wyatt versus the Revival versus the B Team for the Raw Tag Team Championship.
Again, B Team coming up with the victory. I gotta admit, they've been getting kind of lucky, and it's just had a little streak. And
a winning streak.
Winning streak. I think they've just been getting lucky, and even though a win is a win, but just luck has been on their side. They took advantage today of a situation where they tossed all their opponents out of the ring, and they just got for the pinfall. They went and did the cover, and that's how they got the win. So it was just like,
it's called being smart. It's called being strategic. Sometimes you got to be strategic in life, man.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how they've been able to maintain their winning streak. That's how they've been able to keep the tag titles. I mean, would the outcome have been different today? Would we had a different match at SummerSlam? Probably, but it was like WWE believes in them enough right now for them to be able to be at where they are right now.
And like you said, they are the hype right now. But other than that, there's no other tag team that you could have them face.
No,
that's
not
like
really.
Actual tag team. I mean, other than the Revival, that's actual tag team match.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't see anybody else.
And you're actually right, because the only tag teams that Raw had are now on SmackDown. So like The Bar is on SmackDown, The New Day is on SmackDown, and then you have somebody. Oh, and then Jeff is in SmackDown. So you really don't have Matt and Jeff. You don't have The Bar anymore. You don't have a New Day, like actual legit tag teams, like you were saying. It's just kind of been two people thrown together into a match, other than the Revival again, because the Revival is an actual tag team. We've seen them down in NXT, and I mean, everybody in this match, they have some experience, whether it's down in NXT or with The Miz or, you know, being already in the business, like the Wyatt family with Wyatt and then the Hardys with Matt. So they're all really experienced. They all know what they're doing. I think they had a really good match. Can't really say anything bad about it other than the fact that I want to see new tag teams.
Yeah, so we're going to go with the Revival like we said in the
SummerSlam
prediction podcast.
So we're going to go with that. And again, we are going to skip again, and we're going to get into the Roman Reigns part. This is by far the most genius thing that has happened in a really, really long time. Paul Heyman, you know, he comes out and he starts talking, cutting his promos, but let's get down to the point. He tells them, he's like, oh, you know, at SummerSlam, it's going to be the reigning, defending, you know, champion of the world, Roman Reigns. You know, he said his whole entire phrase that he usually says for Brock Lesnar, but he said it for Roman, and then he gives him a piece of paper, and then he's like, oh, here you go. And then after giving him the piece of paper, he just pepper sprays him, and then Lesnar comes out and just completely
destroys him. Yeah, I mean, I believe they've been playing us since last week. 2 weeks ago, I believe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. They've been playing us where Brock Lesnar attacked Paul Heyman. And then the following week, Renee Young interviewed him. And he was all shook, crying, shocked. He didn't know what to do. And he kind of threw something out there at the end that this was a different Brock Lesnar. And then he kind of mentioned unless, and then his microphone got cut off and he just walked away. And then he came out, like Araceli said, on Raw to confront Roman Reigns, to tell him that he couldn't beat Brock Lesnar, that there was no chance unless Paul Heyman gave him all the secrets to beating Brock Lesnar. And if Roman Reigns wanted to be a Paul Heyman guy. And yeah, don't get me wrong, Roman Reigns kind of thought about it, but at the end he said no. And what really caught my attention was that Paul Heyman had an agreement, which is the paper that she said that Paul Heyman gave to Roman. And then, on top of that, he spoke to Roman in Samoan. I would really like to know is what he actually said in Samoan.
What he actually said to Roman in Samoan.
Yeah, correct. And what I'm guessing, and I think is be a Paul Heyman guy.
And this doesn't change our SummerSlam predictions. We're still saying Roman Reigns is going to be a Paul Heyman guy at SummerSlam. And again, yes, it does look like Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar are still super close, but Paul Heyman is one of those people that he doesn't forget when somebody does something to him. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he's brilliant. He's smart. He knows where it is at, and he's going to go for Roman. I mean, they basically already teased the fact that Paul Heyman wants Roman to become a Paul Heyman guy.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen. It's bound to happen. This is what Roman needs, and this is what's going to elevate Roman's career and get it to the point where it's supposed to be. It's going to help Roman Reigns on so many levels. I want to see it happen. Hopefully, WWE does decide to go with it. I'm thinking for sure it's going to happen. It's pretty obvious. They don't just throw something at you like that and then not do it. The only reason, like we said on the SummerSlam prediction podcast, the only reason or the only way we would see Lesnar retain would be if WWE wants everybody to be talking and wants all the attention and has him walk into his UFC match, which I believe is in January, don't quote me on that, as a two-sport champion. That's the only way I see him retaining, but yet again, that's another 6 months from now.
Yeah, and anything could happen during those 6 months.
Yeah, so...
But knowing Paul Heyman, he has something up his sleeve like he always does.
He has a plan, for sure. And again, if Lesnar were to win, who goes? Who's going to challenge him for the Universal Championship? Do we still get to see him challenge Roman for the next 6 months? It's like, it's bound to happen. Roman has to win it. He has to take it from him. He becomes a Paul Heyman guy. Strowman catches in. And eventually, with Roman being a Paul Heyman guy, he's able to beat Braun Strowman to capture the Universal Championship, which is what he's wanted for a super long time. But I see it happening with him being a Paul Heyman guy.
Yeah, me too. I think we're on the same page on this one too.
And that it's gonna be very, very interesting to see, what they decide to do with them and stuff like that. But for sure, we're not changing our prediction. We're keeping it as Roman is becoming a Paul Heyman guy, Strowman is cashing in, and then Reigns will go on to eventually become the Universal Champion with the help of Paul Heyman, which is what usually happens. I mean, look at CM Punk, look at Brock. It's going to happen. And then I believe another match we had was Sasha versus Ruby Riott?
Yes, that is correct.
Sasha Banks. There's so much we can say about Sasha, and there's so much we can't say about Sasha. The reason why I say that is because it's one of those things where Sasha is really, really good, where she's up there, she's one of those talents, but the storylines they put her in are just like, man, what are you doing? Like, down in NXT, she was fantastic, absolutely love her, and still love her now. Like, I'm a huge Sasha fan, but it's like, what are you doing to poor Sasha? You know what I mean? And it's like, I like where they're going with the whole Boss and Hook connection, but we've pretty much seen Sasha and Bayley versus the Riots for the last month and a half.
Yeah, that is correct. I think by them going into singles and facing Ruby Riott, the great, I mean, she showed her athleticism and she was very, very impressive during the match too.
And Ruby has improved so much. She's super good. She's somebody that I see being super, super successful in the future. And I'll get into that maybe in the next podcast. I'll let you guys know why I think that. Armando and I already know this. Him and I already discussed this. But we'll let you guys know that next week. But, again, pairing her with Liv and Sarah, I think, has really, really helped her out. Or helped them out in a way. They're a really good team. I feel like right now, Ruby and Liv are the ones carrying the Riot Squad. Sarah is still getting there. She's slowly getting there.
I have to agree with some part of that. I think Ruby's the one that's actually carrying
both of them.
But
if we were to compare the three of them, I mean,
yeah,
you have Liv and Riot pretty much, making the Riot Squad what it is, and then you have Sarah, who's obviously helping. But I just think she still has a little more work to do getting there. Sasha and Bayley, though, that's a completely different story. They've been best friends for a really, really long time. They've had some of the greatest matches down in NXT. They're part of the Women's Revolution. And I just want to see them do more with them. Put them in different storylines and stuff like that.
Get booked better, pretty much. Is
yeah,
what you're trying
exactly.
To say.
And that's what we want for Evolution, too. We want the best possible outcome that we can get for Evolution. We don't just want a show put together in 10 minutes and be like, oh, well, here's your pay-per-view that everybody's wanted for a really long time type of thing. I just kind of want, proper storylines, give them time, let them do what they do best, which is perform.
Yeah, and then, like you said, with me, you look for in most of the matches is just quality and the match being excited. If the crowd is getting worked out at the event, then we're most likely we're going to get worked out here, when we're watching it on TV, the live audience.
Yeah, because you get really excited even if you're watching it on TV. Yeah. When those of you that have been to a WWE event before, you're there, and even if the match sucks, you're into it because you're there. Yeah. Once you're on TV, it's a completely different thing. But anyways, putting that aside, and let's get into another match. I believe it was Bobby Roode and Titus and Apollo versus AOP and Mojo.
Yeah. Really, another thing, not much to say about this match. I felt it was just kind of thrown out there.
There's so much they can do with AOP, though, and they just kind of have them there. Kind of like the Bludgeon Brothers in SmackDown, but that's a different story. Just giving you guys an example. There's so much they can do with them, and yet again, there they are. But I'm happier now because at least they have like an official match. Before they were just facing jobbers. Now at least they're starting to face people that are on the main roster, which puts them out there for a certain somebody to come in and, you know, mentor them and shape them to where they're supposed to be. For those of you that don't know who we're talking about, Armando, do you want to do the honors and tell them who we're talking about?
Yeah. About Kevin Owens, I would really, really like to see AOP with Kevin Owens. Not only because of what he's done in his career, but he's like, the guy is super smart. He knows how to get you to the next level. Kind of like the Miz did with the Miztourage, but it's just something I want to see. You know, I'm just excited. Hopefully it happens, but like I said, keep in mind it's just a prediction.
It can and it cannot happen. You know, we'll see where they decide to go from that. But that's all we have for Raw. Let's get into the actual show, the good show. No shade against Raw, but, you know, SmackDown. Let's get into SmackDown. All right. Charlotte Flair opens the show, and I just heard, like, Becky comes out and Carmella comes out. You know, they cut their promo. Again, Carmella tries to get Becky and Charlotte against each other. Like I said in our predictions, having Charlotte and Becky not get along is going to be the opportunity for Carmella to retain. She doesn't have James Ellsworth, but she's genius. She always has something up her sleeve.
Kind of like Alexa.
Kind of like Alexa, exactly. It's perfect. They're both heel champions. Oh, wait. They're both heel champions. I didn't realize that till this second.
Yes.
They have a lot of similarities. They're both good on the mic. They both carried their brands accordingly. And, hey, there's nothing much I can say. I think Carmella is still going to retain no matter what. I think Carmella is retaining. I know you don't agree with that.
No, this is one of the few matches where we disagree. I'm rooting for Becky Lynch. Like I said before, I feel she deserves it. It's her time now. I feel that Charlotte has already been champion, and we need someone new. And Becky's been working hard for these past couple months. And
she hasn't been champion in a really long time. She was the first ever SmackDown Live Women's Champion, and ever since then, I mean, she hasn't really been champion since she lost it. Charlotte, on the other hand, like I said, she cannot win it due to the predictions that we have already predicted before on the show.
And also, this is a chance for Becky to prove to Charlotte that she's better. I know both of them are super competitive and want the best for each other, but Becky is going to prove herself to Charlotte by winning the championship. Charlotte
did say something to Carmella, though, that really grabbed my attention. And I mentioned this to Armando earlier, but she said this to Carmella, and I quote, "You're a diva living in the woman's era." That was harsh. That is pretty harsh, because at the point where they are now, it's like, yeah, it wasn't just Charlotte, it wasn't just Becky, Sasha, and Bayley who, you know, kind of paved that way. There was people before them and people after them, and I feel like Carmella played a really huge role managing Enzo and Big Cass, who are no longer here. So yeah, that was harsh, and I don't necessarily agree that she's a diva living in the women's era, because she kind of does act like one, I'll give you that, but it's like she has proven that they're beyond that point as well.
I think that's what Charlotte meant. That she thinks she's a diva as the champion. You know, that she's like the all that and stuff like that.
But she's backed up everything she's ever said.
She has.
She beat Charlotte Flair twice.
But she does act like a diva, so I think that's what she meant.
Well, that's what she meant by that. But that was kind of harsh, because it's like, ow.
Yep.
You know, we're no longer living in the divas division. We're living in the women's division now, the women's era, and they've come so far from that. But then Paige comes out, and Carmella is certain that she has a vendetta against her, because now she puts Charlotte and Becky in a tag match against Mandy and Sonya, and she tells Carmella, go over there because you're good at talking, so go sit at commentary. Are we about to see the same storyline we saw with Kevin Owens and Shane? Because every single time Carmella comes out, I can swear to you, she says, Paige doesn't like me. Paige this, Paige that. And I'm just like, well, yeah, Paige can't wrestle, but...
Most likely, we're probably going to see the same storyline.
It feels like they're trying to push it to a... It feels like they're trying to push it to the point where it leads to a storyline. This match was okay. I mean, it got better towards the end. I can't really say it was the greatest match in SmackDown because, you know, other competitors took that match. But it was okay. I feel like there was a lot more they could have done, especially with the women that were involved, Charlotte and Becky. They ended up victorious, so that's that. Armando, is there anything you'd like to add to this match?
No.
Or is that it for that?
That's it.
Alright, the Bludgeon Brothers versus the Triple Threat.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of the Triple Threat.
Me neither.
They're a team. They're one of those. I hate saying the word jobbers, man. We gotta come up with a different word. But yeah, they were facing people from the Indies, I guess. They're not even in the Indies, so we'll just go with jobbers.
Most likely they're hometown heroes.
Yeah, exactly.
All I want to know is, how do you sign up to be one of those? Because I would love to give that a try.
Yeah. We'll find out how you become one of those, and then we'll put you up against Braun Strowman.
I don't mind being in the ring for 2 minutes with Braun Strowman.
With 2 minutes.
I don't mind.
And then there would be me, not terrified, just laughing.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Every time something happens to him, I just burst out laughing. You guys have to hear the story of what happened to him at WrestleMania Access, but that will come in the next video. I swear we will make a video for you guys about our WrestleMania experience. I know some people have been asking for that, so we'll find time and we'll make that for you guys.
And like we said, there really wasn't much to say. The match was 2 minutes. The Bludgeon Brothers came completely destroyed. I believe they were called the Triple Threat.
Yeah. And like I've said, what have the Bludgeon Brothers done on their title reign?
Nope.
So it's like, I understand why you put people against jobbers and stuff, but you're the champion. You should be facing other tag teams. You should be elevating everybody else and showing them this is where you're supposed to be at.
That's why I said that the New Day was going to be the new tag champs for SmackDown.
They have to be. They're in need of having them, do that. We'll get into the Miz and Bryan feud later. We'll leave it till the very end because it was like super long and it was this whole entire documentary type thing. But let's get into Sanity versus the New Day. I think this was the match. This stole the show. Again, the New Day steals the show. Piggybacking on what Armando said, this is why they should be the SmackDown Live Tag Team Champs. It's long overdue.
It is. They deserve it. And really, I don't have much to say about it. They've been proving themselves week after week after week. And for a reason, they're the 4-time tag team champions.
Or 5-time.
Well, if they win, they're going to be 5-time.
Oh.
So.
But.
We'll see.
We'll see what they decide to do. Sanity, I'm looking forward to see what else they decide to do with them. I know we saw them down in NXT. They don't have Nikki Cross with them now, but they are one of the greatest fractions that were down in NXT. I want to see those guys do more. You know, I feel like putting them against the Bludgeon Brothers would be something really, really cool to see, especially now that they're champions. But, the New Day are the number 1 contenders, so it would be great to see that match as well.
They really impressed me so far from what I've seen in this tag team division. A lot.
It's crazy because, you look at somebody like the New Day and you're just like, oh, they're goofy, they don't know what they're doing and stuff. But they have really talented individuals. Like Kofi, like we said last week, he always brings something new to the table. He always has something that he wants to prove, and he's been doing that lately. And I feel like that alone puts the New Day on a completely different level. You know what I mean? And Sanity, again, there's not much we can say about them until we see more of them on the main roster. But I want to see them like really showcase what they can do.
And again, piggybacking on the New Day, whoever you put them against, they always deliver. That's no doubt about it.
Yeah, there's definitely no doubt about that. And you can put them up against anyone in the world. Yep, anyone in the world, and they will give you a good match, a match to see. And before we move on to the Bryan part, let me just let you guys know something. For those of you that don't know, Kofi Kingston's birthday was today. So, happy birthday, Kofi.
Happy birthday to you.
I'm not a singer, but happy birthday, Kofi. From Wrestling with Siblings, Armando and Araceli. So, tweet him that we wished him happy birthday, just so he knows. Alright, let's get into the Bryan and Miz feud a little bit. They weren't on TV this time, but they did have like this huge story about them, how it all started down in NXT 8 years ago when Bryan was a rookie and Miz was the mentor, and Bryan never won a match down in NXT with Miz as his mentor, and then Bryan told him, oh, maybe I didn't need the Miz, maybe the Miz needed me, because then he won his first match.
Against the Miz.
So, again, history repeats itself. What comes around, goes around.
That is correct. Like I said, this match, like we said before, this match should have been at WrestleMania, not SummerSlam.
But it is what it is. We're getting it at SummerSlam. Regardless, I don't think the outcome would have changed. The Miz is taking it home. He's going to win it. And then we're going to go on to see this feud for like the next month or so.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get the rematch and stuff like that. But this has been 8 years in the making, with the whole talking smack thing where Bryan called The Miz a coward and that he sucks at wrestling. The Miz completely just lost it.
Went off on him pretty much.
Yeah, he pretty much went off on him and stuff. So it's crazy because like people don't really, I can't even put it into words, man. It's like some people don't appreciate the talent that The Miz has in the ring and outside of the ring.
And then on top of that, the build-up has just been so amazing since the beginning all the way up until now.
And this is what makes the feuds worth watching. This has been an 8-year in the making feud. And you might not see that because you're like, oh, wait, that's right. This happened 8 years ago. But it's like, it all always comes back. And it's like, it's been happening. It's been in the making for 8 years. And now it's about to happen. It's personal. WrestleMania was the time to do this. But we're getting it at SummerSlam. So we're still both agreeing on The Miz taking it. We're not changing the prediction. Alright. Andrade versus Aiden English. Again, Andrade's on TV. It's a 10. No matter what. The match was pretty good, though.
No matter what he does, Andrade, perfect.
It was perfect.
Always gets a 10 no matter what he does.
And props to Aiden. Like, Aiden carried this match as well. Like, they both did a really, really good job in this match. Selena was ringside. Aiden was by himself.
But at the end of the day, who came out on top? El Idolo, of course.
Yes. And then Lana and Rusev come out, and they start telling them that they're pretty certain they're going to beat them at SummerSlam. I know that was Armando's prediction. He said Lana and Rusev were taking it home. I still think Andrade and Selena are taking it home. It's going to be very interesting to see. It is on the kickoff show. Apparently, Lana has lost the Russian accent now for good because this is week 2 since she's been talking and hasn't talked in the Russian accent. So
yeah, we don't know where she's going with it. If she's going to stick with the Russian accent or if she's just going to stick to her without the Russian accent.
All right. That's that on that match. There really wasn't much to say about it. We've already said everything on our other podcast. All right, let's get into Jeff versus Shelton Benjamin. Jeff Hardy returned finally ever since his attack by Randy.
Yeah. I was expecting Randy Orton to get involved in the match.
He didn't, surprisingly.
Which he didn't, yeah. It was surprisingly.
He was watching, though.
He was.
From not the backstage area, but from where, like, the Titron is. He was just kind of creeping, looking. We can for sure expect him to interfere in the match at SummerSlam. I expect them to do that. Again, Shinsuke Nakamura is retaining at SummerSlam. I don't see him losing it. Jeff is going to go on to feud against Randy. That's pretty obvious.
And sorry, this should be another one of the great matches. We've seen Shinsuke and Jeff, but we really haven't seen them at their full potential against each other. Excited for this match. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see where they decide to take it. But I am excited to see what they're going to do with Jeff Hardy now that he came back. And let's get into the last part, which was AJ and Samoa Joe.
That's right. This is going to be an excellent feud. I think this might be a better match
than the Roman and Brock match. Yeah. I mean, just really, really quickly, we won't get too in-depth into it because it was just like a segment. Samoa Joe comes out, and this was like the interesting part of this entire thing. He comes out and he's like, oh, one of your fans wrote me a letter, and he starts telling him, oh, well, you know, he doesn't know how to be, that AJ Styles doesn't know how to be a dad, and yada, yada, yada. And it just becomes one of those things where AJ is like, what? Again, Samoa Joe playing the mind games on AJ Styles. And if you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. It's on the WWE website or on like their Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can see it. AJ Styles loses it at the end of the show after they were done filming. Obviously, the WWE cameras are always rolling, so they caught the part where AJ wants to go confront Samoa Joe.
Yeah, it's just pretty interesting. Like I said, I'd rather just have them go personally at it in the ring, but it happened backstage. And again, it's going to be one of those great matches.
Yeah, but even though it happened backstage, we still saw the footage, and it's like, ooh, now I'm looking forward to it. That doesn't mean I'm changing my prediction. Samoa Joe is still taking it home. I still think it's time for Samoa Joe to become champion. After the feuds he had both on Raw and SmackDown, I think his time is now to just become that champion that everybody's looking for. And don't get me wrong, AJ, fantastic, greatest in-ring performer of this generation. I just think it's time for somebody else to take the throne.
Yeah,
he's been champion too long now.
He's had a great title run and done a great job with it.
He's carried SmackDown really, really well. I just want to see him put other people over. I want to see him showcase other people's talent on the show. All right, I think that's it. Anything else you'd like to add, Armando?
That pretty much sums it up. Yep.
All right. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Wrestling with Siblings. We'll see you guys next week. I'm your host, Araceli, and this is my co-host, Armando.
I'm Armando. Thank you for joining us.